My name is Whitney Ziegler with Big Rocks Organizing, and I'm excited to welcome you all to Wine and Wisdom with Whitney on Wednesdays. And we have a special guest this week, Danielle Isaac, and she's going to introduce herself in just a moment. So this is the second series that we're doing, and we're talking about how do we reset our goals and reframe and get motivated to move forward to reach our new goals. So last time we had special guest Melinda Miller, and she showed us how to create a vision board. How do we dream? How do we dive deep and reach for really big goals? And then Danielle is going to talk with us today about staying energized as we reach for those new goals that we've now set. So I'm really excited to welcome Danielle. Danielle, could you please tell us about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Danielle Isaac, and I'm the Energize Your Life business coach. So my main focus is helping people build businesses and not feel overwhelmed as they're going through that process. Because as we know, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of patience to actually build your business out. And one of the things that I struggled with when I was starting my own business was actually burnout. And I was physically exhausted, as well as I think mentally and emotionally exhausted. So learning how to build a business while feeling burnt out, while being exhausted, required that I had to do things differently. And one of my secret sauces was learning how to, I call it, energize everything that I do, everything in my business, everything that in my life. If I could find ways to put energy into it, I found that I have the stamina. Right, I had the resilience, I had the tenacity necessary to do whatever needed to be done, whether it's building my business or in our case, right sizing. I right sized my house as a result of starting my business. So just learning kind of tricks to basically help myself physically and mentally, emotionally get through whatever processes I needed to get through. In order to be successful. And that was 6 years ago that I started my business. And using these tricks of the trade basically are helping me have greater and greater momentum. So I'm able to do more and simultaneously build back my physical health, right? Build back my emotional strength, build back my mental resilience. All of that's been occurring as a result.
Wow, that's so fantastic. And I'm so excited to have you here today. And just for our gang here to let you know, so we're going to spend about a third of the time on an interview with Danielle. And then a third, she has some really great content to share with us. And then we thought we'd have an open discussion for the last third of today's event. So Danielle, you mentioned that about 6 years ago when you started your business, you right-sized your house at the same time. Can you tell us about that process and tell us about how that was connected with your process of starting your business?
Yes. So after I left my corporate job, here I was like, okay, what can I do to save money while I build my income up? And one of the ideas popped into my mind. We don't need this big of a house. And we could get something smaller, something simpler, and something that actually could save me time. Because our house took a lot of time for upkeep, mowing the lawn, cleaning, plus the financial, you could call it burden or weight of, all of our bills, all of our expenses. And as I was, looking at my bills, my water bill, my electric bill, and seeing how high they were, I was like, I bet we can cut these down significantly. If we move to a place that maybe is less expensive, including a city that's less expensive. So we started the process, my husband and I, of writing down what is it that we envision for ourselves in this new house. So the vision board piece is perfect, right? So what are the qualities we want in our next house? What would he love? What would I love? What would our daughter love? And we created that list, and then we kind of created this collective vision of what would meet all of our needs, right? And maybe it's not going to meet 100%, but something that's as close to it as possible. And we started with that, going out and looking at different houses to find something that we could still feel comfortable in and would be less demanding both financially and on time. And that was such a powerful process to go out there and look and feel like I felt just by doing that, a release. Like, oh, this is going to make life so much easier, to have less of these things to worry about. And that we started to just look at surrounding cities, in our area, and just started to look at homes and what felt right. We would walk into the homes and what felt right. Where's a place that we could go that we could see ourselves in? And doing that process, it started to become more tangible and more real. Yes, this is something we could do, but it obviously means that we're going to have to let some things go. So what are those things that we can let go, and what are the things that we really want to keep that are really important to us? For example, my husband's a chef. So, we needed to keep a lot of the kitchen gadgets there. We needed to have some good open spaces so he could cook. That was really important to us. So I think really connecting with what's important as you're going through that process helps you clarify, like, this tiny kitchen with no pantry is not going to work, for us.
So
And
focusing on your big rocks there.
those are the big rocks that you're talking about, right? And I love gardening, but at this point in time, I didn't want a lot of burden in the yard. I didn't want a high maintenance yard. I wanted something really super simple. So we found a place that actually the front yard was maintained for us and the backyard was super low maintenance. It's really easy for us, and that allowed me to focus on my business, and then also homeschooling our daughter. So it freed me up in a lot of cool ways.
Wow. Well, something I like to ask each of our guests is, what was the hardest thing that you had to let go of in your right sizing process, and how did you work through that?
Oh gosh, I think probably what a lot of people would say is the sentimental things, things that my grandma made, things that were important to my mom. Both of them had passed away, so there was a lot of emotion kind of connected with those objects. So parsing through, my mom and my stepdad, when they passed away, they had a whole bunch of nautical stuff, but it didn't really fit in my theme. It didn't really fit in my house. So I had to go through those things and really say, what's the most special things that I can hold on to and keep that still represent them and keep them in my house. But I don't need 20 boats, to remember them by. So what's the one that's the most special to me that feels good in my home? It kind of fits in with what I'm creating here. Because if you walk through my home, there's emotion attached to almost everything in here, right? So I really had to think about what were the most special pieces that I needed to or wanted to keep. Whether they fit in, with the theme of the house or not, I kept them anyway because they were important to me.
Nice. You kept the best of the best, and
Yes.
yeah, and the things that were the closest to your heart.
Yes, absolutely.
So how does it feel to be surrounded only by the things that you love and to have left everything else behind?
Really,
Or released it, I guess is a
yeah,
better word.
released it and let it go. Yeah, unburdened, definitely unburdened. And there's more, right? There's always, you don't have to do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, I would say, to anybody to start the process. And, I still have some things in boxes that, photo albums that I still haven't decided what I want to do with those. And that's okay, right? Those
Right.
are in the attic right now. But the point is to just start peeling away some of that stuff. And to start peeling away feels so good because every time you do that, you feel a little bit lighter or a lot a bit lighter.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt a lot less encumbered. We used to have, I'll just share, a storage extra bedroom that was just full of stuff. And we would go through and we would cleanse it out. And then it would just fill right back up with stuff. And I was like, how does this extra bedroom always fill with stuff?
What we have a tendency to do, though, is to fill our space.
We do. We fill our space, right? And nobody was using the extra room, so it just kept filling up. And I just thought that was so interesting, just okay, not having an extra room that's filled with stuff actually feels really good, right? And it's okay, good. I'm we're doing better. We don't have that extra room, so we're making progress here,
You're not paying for the real estate. You're not heating it, cooling it, insuring it, and just that mental weight that's on you when you have that extra stuff.
Yeah, and to be really honest, like we even had a storage unit. I mean, we were letting a lot of stuff go. But we also, for us, this is not everybody's case, but for us, we knew we were going to move back into a bigger space. Like this was a temporary adjustment for us. So that made it even more challenging because it was like, well, I might need to hold on to some of this stuff for the next place. And so what is the stuff that we can let go of? What's the stuff we want to hold on for the next place? And so we ended up just getting a storage unit for the stuff that we were holding on to for the next home that we had, and that was kind of a stepping stone, I would say, to allowing ourselves to keep some of the stuff we thought we would want to keep, let go of some of the stuff that we knew we just were not going to take with us in our next iteration. And we have moved into the larger space now. And as we went through that process, then we reopened that storage unit up and looked at, okay, of this stuff, what is it we really do want to have in this next house? And then what is the stuff we want to let go? So I feel like this is in phases, right? We don't have to do it all at once.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, with the storage unit, what percentage of the items would you say have come with you into your new home, and what percentage did you let go of?
Yeah, a lot. We let go of a lot. The things that we thought that we would want to keep in this next home, uh, it's probably, maybe we kept 50%, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, like furniture items and stuff like that. But most of that stuff was nostalgic things, that I had an old CD. It held like 100 CDs, carousel, and I thought this is really cool, and someday maybe we'll break this out and use it. But then we learned to function without it. We're like hardly any of us use CDs anymore anyway, but we learned to function without it. We learned to get along without it, and then we realized we really don't need this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a technique that we recommend with clients. It's boxing things up and putting them maybe into storage in a closet or a storage unit if they have one for a while, and then letting a certain amount of time go by. And if you haven't looked for that item, or you haven't missed it, or maybe you've learned to live without it and you have a workaround that you've come up with, like you said with the CDs, then let it go. It's kind of a halfway house.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it all at once.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, how long was the process that you went through, and were there ever moments where you felt stuck or you felt like you were lacking energy or motivation to continue?
There were, I would say, heavier moments where we would get down to certain items like the garage, a certain room or a garage, and that's my husband's space too. But there's frankly a lot of heavy equipment in there. And I was doing most of the packing because my husband was working, so I was at home working through this stuff as much as I could on my own. And so there were definitely, I'd say, parts of our home that felt heavier to do, both physically and just energetically. It was like, I don't know why this room is hard for me to do. And so in those moments, I think I would ask for help. Like with my husband, I'm like, I'm really going to need your help parsing through this stuff. First of all, a lot of this is your stuff. I don't want to just pack it all up and just take it all with us. What's the stuff that we can let go? My daughter's room, having her be a part of that decision as well. And at that age, my daughter wanted to let nothing go. So that was actually a rather challenging conversation. So it's like, well, let's just box this up. Let's just, like you were saying, let's just box this up, and we'll bring over some stuff, and then she would see that she could let some of this go through that process. But when I felt stuck, I think more than anything, I just asked for help. More, if I felt like I was bogged down, like I was just like, I just don't have the energy for this right now, I would step away and say, this is not a good time to do this. If this is feeling heavy to me, I need to go take a break. I need to go do something else. I need to get my energy up. But for me to just slog through this right now isn't going to work. It's just everything in me is saying, don't do this right now.
So you honored that and took a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that maybe we'll be touching on in your presentation, maybe some things that you do to bring your energy up. Or if not, maybe you could share some things with us now, some things that worked for you.
Yeah, my presentation is actually all about things that I did to bring my energy up through the process. Yes, so absolutely. Yeah.
Well, let's check in with our gang and see, does anyone have questions before we transition into Danielle's presentation? All right, we'll go ahead and transition, because I just would really love to hear about what you use to help get you unstuck and to stay energized.
Can I share a quick joke that's kind of related, and you might have heard this one from me, Whitney. It's not directly related, but it's close, about letting go. What's the difference between a Rottweiler and a mother?
What?
The Rottweiler eventually lets go.
Yes.
Here we go.
Let me get on full screen view here. So yeah, so these are my kind of little tricks of the trade of what I do. I use this with, my clients. I use this for myself. And so, hopefully these will help inspire anybody who is going through the right sizing process or working on any heavy goals, like things that maybe you have to work through and it takes quite a bit of energy to get through them. This is the home that I right-sized into. And cute little home. And it was a blessing because we moved from Sherwood, which I absolutely loved, moved from Sherwood into Newburgh. And because Newburgh was more economical of a town, it's in a different county, the home costs were down significantly, the utilities were down significantly, the front yard was maintained for us by the HOA. So there were a lot of advantages to this home that we would have never anticipated had we not gone out and looked, right? And we're still in Newburgh today because we find it's a very great neighborhood to be in. It's a great city to be in. And we wouldn't have found it had we not gone through this process. So I feel like, first of all, I want to remind people that there's a lot of blessings that come from stepping into that next adventure, whatever that is for you. And this little home, I called it my dream builder home. This was my home for building my dream business, right? This is the space that I was going to do that. So I always reframed it. Sometimes our mind, like you and I were talking about, sometimes our mind says, well, I'm downsizing, and our brain wants to make us like wrong for that. Wants to say, well, look at the other people, they have big homes or whatever, however our mind messes with us. And if that ever showed up for me, I'd reframe it and I'd say, no, this is my dream builder house. This is the house where I'm building my dream business. This is the platform from which I'm doing this. This is what's giving me the freedom, both financially and time-wise, to be able to do that. So this little home was such a blessing. And we right-sized from 2,600 to 1,900 square feet. But to put that in perspective, we went from a 5-bedroom home to a 3-bedroom home. We went from a 2-car garage to a 1-car garage. Or I guess you could call it a 1.5, but this garage was significantly less spacing on the sides. So no storage space in the garage itself. And the other thing is I had a full-blown office in my first home and a loft in the second, right? So I didn't have the closed doors and stuff. So here I was in this, I was physically tired, right? And physically exhausted. And yet I needed to pack and move all this stuff. So the first thing that I did was I was just like, okay, I just need to start simple. What's a simple step that I could take? And what I did was I said, I'm just going to get a ton of boxes, right? I'm just going to get a ton of packaging tape. I'm going to get a ton of boxes. I'm going to get everything just ready and sitting in the garage, ready for me to go, so that when I have the time, I can just grab a box and go, right? And different sizes, because sometimes it was just easier to pack a smaller box, or if you had heavier stuff, but just getting all kinds of different sizes, giving myself lots of options, I found just made it so much easier. And of course, just the basic supplies, the paper and the packing materials. But the reason why this was so helpful, and just in general, is I think it's important to remember that we've got to keep this process simple and easy. So if we can remind ourselves in anything we do, how can I make this simple and easy? That's a great way to reframe our mind. If it starts to get bogged down and this is going to be so hard, just remind yourself, how can I keep this simple and easy, right? And all of a sudden your brain will start to look for solutions for how to keep it simple and easy. And it just lightens us up. It gets us out of overwhelm. And we're like, yes, I can do this. I can think of something that is simple and easy for me to do today. And you can ask yourself this question each day: what's something simple and easy I can start with today? And for me, it's like, try not to overthink it. Just find one thing, one simple thing that you can start to work on. Because a lot of times if you start on that one simple thing, there's some momentum that happens behind that, but it's got to be something simple and easy to get started with. So, for me, that might be, I can do the dishes today, right? I can start getting those dishes packed up. And then once the dishes were out, what's the next thing I could do? Next thing I could do is get those knickknacks all cleaned up, right? And get those all boxed up. And then as I go through that process, I guess I don't need this one. I can let this one go. Which one can I let go? And one of the things that you can do is, what feels expansive to hold on to? So energetically, this feels expansive to hold on to when I hold this object. This feels expansive. I feel good energy around this item. What feels heavy, right? So what feels like, this is maybe it has some negative emotions associated with it. So just letting go of the things that feel heavy and holding on to the things that feel light. That's a simple self-check that we can do to help us sort through the objects. This feels, my grandma, it would make me smile to hold on to her vase. But then, maybe there was something that had a memory with my parents that brought up some sadness. So I'd say, okay, can I let this go? And I'd get the answer, yes, I can. So I would put that in the goodwill pile, or the donation pile, whatever you want to call it. And that was kind of the sorting process that I did. And I just try to keep it light. It's just super simple, super easy, keep it light. Try not to overthink it, right? Just break it down into little baby steps. And then for a reminder, remember, for those who do have physical fatigue, it's important to take lots of breaks. If I was feeling tired, I was feeling exhausted, I was feeling worn out, take a break, go drink some water, go have a light snack, do something to get your physical energy back up. That was just a simple way for me to step out of whatever I was doing. And a lot of times just getting up and moving, and I do that in my business now. I'll be sitting here cranking away at something at my computer. Something feels heavy. I'm starting to get bogged down in my thinking. I'm like, time to take a break. I get up, go downstairs, get a glass of water, get a snack. That's enough to get my blood energy going, or my blood going, and my clarity of thinking again. And then I'm ready to go back at it one more time, So we forget about how important it is just to do simple things like drink water, right? But if we stay hydrated, that'll help us have energy. If we eat little snacks, that'll actually help us have physical energy. Another way to keep yourself energized is definitely, this is my secret sauce to everyone I work with, is make it fun, right? Because we can get consumed by the emotion of letting things go, or the sorting of things or whatever. So if we make it fun, we make it light, we find ways to make it fun, I find we can get through just about anything. Like I was painting my house, and the first thing I do if I'm painting, that's a lot of physical work, is I turn on music, and get the tunes jamming, and get yourself pumping, so you can be packing and dancing at the same time. You can be packing and singing at the same time. But just anything that kind of gets the fun going. You could create a packing party, get your kids involved, and hey, let's pack these things together, and find ways to just make the activity itself motivating. And I find if you listen to music, and music that you love, that could be a great way where you're not concentrating so much on the packing piece, and you're just enjoying the music. Your mind's over there thinking about those things. But the reason why making it fun works so good from a mindset standpoint is our mind likes to make things hard. for most of us. It likes to think, oh, this is going to be so hard. I'm going to have to, you know, this is going to be hard work and I don't know if I want to do it. So if you say, no, it's not, it's going to be fun, and you turn on some tunes, that's a great way to get your brain to chill out and say, okay, I guess I'm willing to do this, right? It's a mindset hack that you can use to trick your mind to, no, we can totally do this. We're going to make it fun. We're going to have a good time. And then brain goes, okay. And there you go. Right now we're in agreement, right? The part of you who knows you're supposed to do this and the part of you that's arguing for not doing it, right? Hopefully we can get them on the same side and says, okay, if you make it fun, I'll do this. And you could say, you can literally ask yourself the question, what's something fun I can do while I pack the day, right? What's something fun I can do that's maybe gonna just make this a little bit easier, a little bit lighter. Maybe I'm gonna have a glass of wine, right? Some of you are drinking wine, right? Maybe I'll have a glass of wine and just sit and chill and open up the windows and let the breeze blow in and just relax and chill while I'm packing, and keep it light, right? Keep it light, keep it fun. And then also, just reminding you, like, think about what happens when you feel low. You feel sad, you feel depressed, you feel heavy. The emotions of sorting through things can pull you down, right? Think about if you can get back to a space of feeling good again. All of a sudden, things start to work out again, right? It's like, okay, I'm feeling like, I'll honor that when that emotion shows up, where you're feeling thick or heavier, or the emotions are showing up. Just recognize, okay, this is okay, right? This is, maybe I'm processing, I'm letting a lot of knickknacks go or things that have emotional ties to it, you know, recognizing this is okay. Take a break, do something to get your feelings back up, like feeling good, feeling motivated, feeling energized. That might be a walk. That might be doing some yoga. That might be doing, you know, whatever works for you, reading, watching a fun movie, right? Something that's funny or a comedy. That can pop you back up into feeling good again. It's a reminder that when you feel good, you feel motivated. When you feel not good, you feel low, you feel heavy, you're not going to feel inspired, you're not going to feel motivated. So one of the things I always tell people is, if you're feeling low, get yourself into a place of feeling good first, and then start to do things, right? So give yourself permission to take a break and get yourself back into feeling good again, and then start moving forward. So the word, like I tell people, is have your kind of your toolkit. My toolkit is, if I'm really in a state of not feeling good, I pop on a Disney movie. And a lot of times it'll be like Beauty and the Beast or something, you know, and I know by the end of the movie, I just pop right back up. I'm feeling good again. And then, okay, now I can operate from this level. A lot of people forget about the emotional impact. And I find if you can connect in with that and remind yourself it's okay to take breaks to get yourself into a space of feeling good again. And when you do, then you'll be more productive. You'll be golden, right? And a lot of people don't honor that within themselves.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And the Disney movies, you know, just something so simple as a fun movie.
Yeah.
Can really put you in a positive place.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or we talked about music is another great one that you can use. It's uplifting tunes. For me, going for walks or going for a bike ride, you know, a lot of times will snap me out of it. So we just got to, no matter what we're doing, we got to have these great tools that'll just help us pop us back into feeling good again. And then I recommend doing something in the mornings. I'm a big advocate of how you start your morning sets the tone for your day, right? And if you know you have a day of packing and working and taking care of kids, you know, or whatever that combination is, right? You know, you have all that stuff going. If you start your day off right, that could be a great way to kind of put yourself in a higher feeling space to begin with, right? And so what if you started your mornings with just getting your juices flowing? Right? How do you get your energy up? How do you get your physical energy up? How do you get yourself mentally feeling good? This is things that you could do. That it could be just going for a walk, get your blood flowing, right? So you're like, I'm going to go for a quick 10-minute walk. It doesn't have to be long, just to get my energy flowing. If you are a yoga person, I'm going to do my yoga this morning just to get the blood flowing, right? For me, I have to have things that bring up my energy. So I do Zumba on my Wii. Right? I pop in a little CD or DVD, and it's got a Zumba instruction, and I get in there and I do 20 minutes of Zumba, and then I'm golden, right? So just, we forget that we got to do things to physically get our energy up, mentally and emotionally get our energy up. And so finding these little things that we can do right off in the morning, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, will pop you into feeling better. And then that will set the tone for your day and help you be ready for, packing and anything else that you want to accomplish, right? And there is actually all kinds of different spiritual practitioners. If some of you have heard of the Miracle Morning, for example, he talks about the importance of that, something in the morning to get yourself feeling good. And he talks about a little bit of exercise, a little bit of reading personal development in the morning, something to work on your mindset. Something that, my husband will listen to a podcast, that he knows is just going to pop him into a space of feeling good. So just finding little things like that in the morning, even if it's just one thing you can do to start your day off right, can set the tone for your whole day to be a success.
That's fantastic. And I can't the discussion piece, because I would love to hear about what morning routines people have, or what lifts them up in the morning and gets them going.
Yes, that is going to be fun, right? Because we forget how important that morning time is. And it is so cute. I had one client, she said, the first thing I used to do was get up and clean out my cat's litter box. She's like, I realized that was so not nourishing to me. That was so not honoring me. That was taking care of my cat's needs first, not my own needs first. And so we laugh about that today. It's like, yeah, isn't that funny how symbolic that was? You'd rather scoop your cat's poop than just than do what you need to do to take care of yourself in the mornings, and hydrate yourself in the mornings, have that cup of coffee if you like to have that, like take care of that stuff first thing in the morning. Don't feel like you got to rush into your day, Okay, so those were the main pieces that I wanted to share with you about, like, those are my tips and tricks about I use throughout the day to get my energy back up. And then we talked about, Whitney, like just breaking things into tiny baby steps, right?
When we get overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah, keeping it super simple. So I just wanted to open it up and see what discussions unfold and what questions you have.
Well, thank you for that. Shall we we'll stop the share screen and then we can see everybody in our gallery view.
All right.
So Bill, you mentioned in the chat that exercise in the morning gets you going. Can you tell us more about your exercise routine?
Well, that actually goes back to when I was working in Salem, in particular. Nothing better than getting ready for a stressful day working for the bureaucracy and as you've heard me say many times, both of you, the boss from hell, micromanaging. And there's no way I could do it at the end of the day. You're tired, you just want to go home, etc. We know how crowded it is. There's no parking spaces. Heck with that. So I would go to my old gym and do it before I caught my park and ride. My carpool at the park and ride at 5 to 7, so we can get to Salem. And definitely energized me. I do that about 3 days a week. Of course, after coffee. So I've kind of kept up that same routine. You're semi-retired. It's a little different.
Priorities. How about anyone else? Is there anything that you do in the morning that gets you energized?
I can share my morning routine. The first thing I do when I wake up is I always journal. I try and remember my dreams, and then I'll write my gratitude or free journal, or I try and write down things like, what do I want to accomplish professionally today? What do I want to accomplish personally? And then I try and do some exercise, and I've been taking cold showers lately. The past 3 weeks, I'm up to 30-second cold showers. They're terrible, but I feel like really energized afterwards. And then I meditate, and then I've been drinking bulletproof matchas. And then I feel, once I have all those things together, I feel super ready for the day.
Nice. Can I ask you, how much time do you spend on your routine each morning?
So between 5 and 6 is like the time I allow myself to wake up and journal. And then 6 to 7 is the time I allow myself to kind of do all the other things. So if I wake up at later at like 6 or 6:30, I'll just cut out half of the things. But I try and give myself 2 hours so I don't feel rushed. And then if I finish them early, I just start work early.
Nice. Terry or Larry, how about you?
For me, the thing that I've started doing lately is I do gratitude and meditation in the morning when I first wake up before I do anything else. So I've stopped looking at my phone first thing in the morning. I found that's a rabbit hole to get into there. So I do that, and then I'll get up, and then I'll come down and have my coffee, and then, figure out, where my day's going, depending on the day. And I found it's really helpful to do the gratitude and meditation in the morning.
It is. I do my gratitude and meditation in the morning as well, and some journaling. And I try to get out and walk the dog before starting work too, because it just feels good to get moving right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm still working on trying to do that kind of thing. I keep rolling out in time to be wherever I was supposed to be.
Well, it's definitely a work in progress. And I know for me, my habits really changed with the whole pandemic. And so I'm trying to rebuild new habits right now. And like Danielle, you said that feeling of heaviness, there were mornings where it was tough, just like rolling out of bed. So yeah, doing those fun things to keep us motivated and keep us moving are so important.
Especially when every day feels like the same day.
Like Groundhog Day.
Just on different calls.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and even like for me, the meditation, it could be a cup of coffee. I might mix it up a little bit. Like I might do the cup of coffee and then sit on my front porch if it's a nice day, and just sit out there, listen to the birds, relax, ease into the day. When it's rainy out, I might be in my office, drink that coffee, look out at the sunrise, just watch that. So in addition to doing the things that energize you, the physical activity, just doing things that calm you, soothe you, help you stay centered and calm and grounded. I feel like there's so much value in that. But I love also what Devin talked about, how she reconnects in like with those bigger goals, those bigger dreams that she has, and kind of reminds herself of those, which I think is wonderful, because it is easy to forget, with all our busyness. What are those bigger goals and dreams that we're working towards?
Absolutely. Got to remember those big rocks. So I guess I'm asking the group here, with your right sizing or with any other projects you're working on, I think oftentimes we're really excited at the beginning of a new project, and then we hit that first point where it's just kind of tough and we lose our momentum. So any thoughts on kind of getting past that first hurdle?
I had a professor in college who said to me something once that I always think about when I'm in the slogs of a project. Is she said, a big project can sometimes be like being pregnant. It's really exciting at first, and then it gets really hard and uncomfortable. But at the end, if you can make it all the way to the end of the project, it's like the most amazing thing. So that's one thing I try and keep in mind when I'm slogging through, is like, at the end, it's going to be so good. I just need to keep going.
But there could be a postpartum element to projects too.
Yeah.
I know I felt that way when I finished my master's. So, oh my God, through this, I've got all this time. Now what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was huge.
It's okay to give ourselves that space to kind of regroup and just absorb our accomplishments. Like Danielle, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but like I know I have a tendency to just gloss over things I've achieved and not really sit with that success, with
Yes.
that win.
Yeah. Yeah. Celebration.
Yeah, that's Danielle's big thing, is to celebrate your wins.
Yeah, and I was going to put it in the presentation and I forgot, but yeah, celebrations to me are everything. Like if you can just acknowledge any progress that you made at the end of every day and just say, you know, I'm really proud that I got 4 boxes done, 3 boxes done. That positive reinforcement, if you think about almost like your mind being like a little kid that wants praise. You know, if you're always focusing on what you're not getting done, you're criticizing yourself for what you didn't do right, that poor inner child is just like always feeling abused. You know, all you ever do is tell me what I do wrong or what I'm not doing right. So we actually can build up resilience actually by saying, yes, I did this. I got this done. It feels so good. I feel accomplished. And if we do that at the end of the day, you could literally create a list of 5 things that you're proud of that you did for that day, and big or small.
The 10 win list.
The 10 win list, right? But if you do that, imagine if you did that at the end of each day, and you say, yes, I did this. I felt good. You know, I accomplished something. That reinforces your own mental system to keep going. That part of your brain that's like, no, I don't, you know, I don't want to do this. But if it knows, it's like it's going to get a reward. Like, hey, good job. You know, I'm so proud of you. You did a good job. You can literally pat yourself on the back, right? You can literally tell the inner child, you did a good job today. I'm really proud of you. You were tired today, but you still did it. You know, things like that. That part of yourself will go, oh, good. I want to do some more. Right? Yes, let's do some more. So celebrations, wins, big or small, we've got to acknowledge any progress we made, you know, and just really honor that we did that. So I love what you're saying, Whitney, where you just take the time to acknowledge it. Don't just gloss by and blow by it. Take the time to acknowledge it, and recognize that that's how you're going to get done anyway, is a little bit at a time, one day at a time. So if you can break it into little pieces each day and then celebrate the little pieces that you got done, pretty soon you realize, wow, at the end of this 30 days, look at how, you know, the accumulation of all that, look at how much I got done. You know, it seemed like it was only a few boxes a day, but when you look at the boxes in the garage, you're like, that's like 200 boxes I did, you know, and then you're like, oh, okay. This is why we take it in baby steps and we acknowledge our progress all along the way, because it all adds up.
Yeah. Whitney knows how I'm doing that 1 or 2 boxes a day, and then I let her know. Now I held off today, a little delayed gratification, knowing we'd be talking tonight. But for instance, today's our recycling pickup. So I've got an empty pail again, and I've gone the last 3 weeks completely full.
Wow.
And today it's already up to 2/3 or 3/4, something like that. What are those containers that may be about 30 inches by 18 by 18? Did you get at the container stores? Full of my master's stuff. Speaking of that, you know, all the papers and everything, the books, it's almost all going. I don't know what I'm going to do with books, but I don't know if anybody wants textbooks from 20 years ago. I don't want to just recycle them. It just doesn't seem right.
Are there cool pictures in them? Can we make collages?
It's economics and finance and accounting and management.
No, of course,
You can't make collages.
outdated.
Huh?
Probably a little outdated.
Just a tad.
I know there are some prisons that accept books and missions in Africa, but even so, I just don't know, Bill. I think the recycling bin might be the best.
Guess I'll do a little search. Yeah, so it does feel good. Yes, I pat myself on the back. I appreciate your encouragement and et cetera. And Mrs. Bill is going. Like even that table back there, that's all I have on there. Usually there's a pile.
That's pretty good.
Really good.
Thank you. It feels good.
Nice. Oh.
My other big one used to be procrastination. DMB cured me of that. Because when you work in a field office, you see the ramifications of people procrastinating every day. They didn't pay the ticket, they waited till the last day, you know, all that stuff.
And then their crisis became your crisis.
Exactly. I gotta listen. You
And
took
we
my
wanna be-
license. You took my license away.
We want to be kind to ourselves.
Why is it so busy on the Friday before a holiday weekend?
I feel that way about COVID, Bill. There's so many things I procrastinated doing in my life, and now I don't know when I'll ever get to do them.
So many trips that we all want to go on.
And
Yeah.
actually, a lot of that procrastination is tied into what we're talking about, isn't it?
Mhm.
Putting off doing what we're talking, the right sizing, the downsizing, the throwing and recycling.
Oh yeah.
You asked a question about the hardest things. Since we're, discussion, I'd say, and two things that really helped go back to, I think it was the first seminar or webinar, was the burn box and the collage, and I'm keeping those in mind. I'm collecting things for that. But I'm throwing away things. Okay, sports-wise, anybody know my passion?
Sports?
Sports-wise?
Baseball.
What in sports?
Baseball. Football.
Yeah, which team?
Blue. I don't know any teams.
I'm from where? Boston Red Sox.
Red
I
Sox.
found stuff from, going back, 20, 30 years, gone. I can find that all on the internet now. What do I need all that paper? Right?
It's true.
And then the hardest thing probably, though, is mom stuff. And it's not so much, it's photographs. I did get rid of a bunch of, not really, they're poor quality prints, or they're just partial ones. I said, can never use them, get rid of them. Why am I hanging on to these, pieces of paper that have a little bit of work? I've got great examples right here. But it's her vases and her pottery and all the things that she gathered, because not everything was lost in the hurricane. A lot of it was in storage. They had a smoke fire. So fortunately, a lot was salvaged. Some really nice stuff. So that's gonna be tough. I think at some point, because again, we're dinks, double income, no kids. We have nobody to give it to. Nobody wants our stuff. So somebody's going to benefit from it because it's beautiful stuff.
I like that acronym, DINKS.
Yeah, actually, new version of it, DRINKS, dual retirement income note. Here's,
That's good. I like that one.
I like that a lot.
Terry, earlier on you mentioned your 10 wins list that Danielle had showed you. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how it's impacted your life by using it?
It just makes you think back on your day and all that you accomplished and figure out, what your wins were for the day. And they don't have to be big, they can be small things. To find 10 of them, lots of times, you get to the small things. But, they are wins. Just doing something you said you were going to do, or connecting with a friend. Anything that, you feel good about. So it's been good to do that, because it really makes you think about your day and the things that did make you feel good during the day and that you really liked.
That's wonderful.
It is.
Yeah. And I find even, that was kind of a trick. I noticed that I never felt proud of anything I accomplished in my life. I never took credit for it. I always felt like it wasn't enough. And even in my corporate days, my teams did really well, but I never felt proud for anything that I accomplished. And I thought, that's kind of backwards. Like, that's kind of messed up. Like, why don't I ever feel proud for anything? And so that's when I was like, I started to say, what am I proud of? So I went from wins to the emotion of feeling pride. And I was like, what am I proud of that I did today? I find that the vast majority of people that I work with do not feel proud about themselves. Not at all. And then you wonder why they don't have high self-esteem. Because they're so busy looking at what they're not doing right, what they're not doing well. And so that was the same thing I did. So when I started to look at what I was doing right, what I was doing well, and just connecting with that feeling of pride, I started to feel better about myself. And that helped me show up differently. But it also helped me, like, I wasn't emotionally, I think I was just stronger, and so I notice if I don't do those, if I get away from doing those, which I do at times, I'm like, oh, I'm good, I don't need to do those, right? And I stop doing them, I notice I slowly slip back in to not feeling good about myself. And then I'm like, oh, reminder, need to get back and do those. And right now I recognize, even though I feel proud, I realize there's another part of me that doesn't feel successful. It's a nuance, right? But now I do 10 things that I did today that were successful. And that's the list I'm working with now, right? And so practicing that feeling of success. What does that feel like? So you can kind of play with wins in different ways and see what is the new emotion that you need, that you haven't been owning, that you can generate. But when we feel successful, we want to do more, right? So if you feel like you're successfully right-sizing your house, or successfully, getting through your projects, like, that's motivating for all of us to want to keep doing more. So it's amazing, these little tricks that we could do for ourselves, how well they work. You just got to try them out and see for yourself.
True. And it's okay for each of us to define success in our own way too, or what a win is, right?
Totally. We've been told it's something big and monumental, and that's not true. It's all the little things that add up.
Terry, you were going to add something?
Oh, it's just like I was going to say, but she said the little things, because sometimes, you don't really have major things going on every day. But there are things that, are wins or successes, however you want to term it. And it makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel like you've accomplished something. And when I don't do it, like Danielle said, you just kind of get into bad habits and don't appreciate the things that, that you've done or you're doing well.
Yeah. I think it's easier to get stuck too, and to lose your momentum.
Yeah. And like Bill, he works with caretakers, right? People that are taking care of people with dementia, for example. They're doing so much to take care of this other person, but do they ever acknowledge everything that they're doing? Do they ever take the time to say, you know what, I took time to be with this person today. I didn't have to do that, but I made the time because it was important to me.
Instead of just the hard work, where's the gratification?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was hard to see when I was going through it, but as I got towards the end and then beyond, I started giving myself a little credit for it. It helped that a lot of people are saying, it is amazing what you're doing for your mom. I wasn't thinking that. I thought, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
Didn't want to leave it up to my brother. We won't go there.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think all of us are like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. That's always the comment I hear. And I'm like, yeah, but you are doing so much that you're not even recognizing you're doing, And most people I'm like, if you made a list of everything you did today, I think you would shock yourself. You probably did like 30 things today, and you're not acknowledging yourself for any of those 30 things that you did, and so your poor brain is like just slogging away. I got to do more. I got to do more. I got to do more. And it's like, yeah, but look at all the things you did do, right? So pat yourself on the back. Good job. And then like, if you, like with the caretakers, once you like do that every single day, or your caretakers do that every single day, when somebody says good job, they can actually receive it. Mm-hmm. Because they actually feel like they did a good job too.
One of the things I remind them of is, remember, you're doing the best you can. And what you're doing is good enough. You can't expect perfection. You're going to make mistakes. Yeah. But give yourself some credit for trying your best. We don't have training for this stuff.
Well,
most of us don't have training for downsizing, right sizing either.
And every day's different, especially when you're taking care of somebody who's ill. Especially with dementia and Alzheimer's, you just never know what's going to happen from day to day.
It's like a box of chocolates.
Yep.
Well, I love what Devin had said earlier in the list of 10 wins reminded me. So you can look at your 10 wins and see what you accomplished, and you can also take a look back at your big rocks and see, are they matching up? Am I going in the direction that I want to be going in?
Yeah.
Does anyone have a question for Danielle before we wrap up? Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for sharing your time with us today. We really appreciate you and the positive energy that you bring and the tips that you shared to keep us motivated as we are on our right sizing journeys.
It was a pleasure to be here, and I hope even if you take one of these tips away and use it, may it help you. But yeah, thank you for having me here. And I think right sizing is the right thing to do for a lot of people. A lot of people are going through that, and trusting and knowing it's the right decision for yourself, right? And then allowing yourself to have all the support you need to get through it so that you can bring that dream into reality, whatever it takes. They got you, right, to help you. You got friends, you got family you can call in. But it is so powerful to go through that process and so cleansing.
Thank you for sharing your personal right sizing journey with us.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
And if anybody is interested, who's an entrepreneur, I do have a Facebook page for anybody who wants to join. I think everybody pretty much on here is it, but I'll just share for anybody who's on the replay. I have a Facebook page called Exhausted Employees to Energized Entrepreneurs, where we cover, different tidbits as well as what we covered today. How do you stay energized and build your business? So if you are in the process of building your business, that's another great place to go where you can get resources and
It's
interviews like
great
this,
group.
yeah, speakers too.
Yeah, it's a great group. I get a lot of inspiration from your group, Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Where else can people find you online or connect with you?
DanielleIsaac.com. They can come over to my website, and I actually have a downloadable book, a free book on there right now, which is From Exhausted to Exuberant, 3 Keys to Break Free from Burnout, Business Burnout. So it's the visioning, right? Having that bigger vision for the life that you do want that isn't exhausting, right? That is actually energizes you. So that's some of the pieces that I cover in there. How to stay happy for no reason. Just, you don't have to have things happen for you to feel happy. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. So what are the ways that you can feel happy regardless of what's going on in your life, or at least feel good to the best level that you can? So those are some of the fundamentals that I cover in that ebook. So anybody who's interested in that could go to DanielleIsaac.com and download it.
It's an easy read and very helpful.
Her Energized book too, that she's written, called Energized.
Yep, Energize is on Amazon.
Yeah, that's a good read.
Nice.
A lot of information about just mindset and how to improve your mindset and get to where you need to be on a good level.
I'm definitely putting that on my reading list.
Excellent.
I can lend mine to you.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Terry. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoy the dry, it looks dry for now, evening.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2 weeks.
See you in
Yes.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, we'll talk